Ode to the Watchtower. Oh, how you suck. Your wicked ways have thine self fire trucked. You've hurt so many people in so many ways. People are lining up just to see you pay. You have wrecked so many lives, and that is the truth. I see it in my comments, and there is so much proof. I really hope to help as many as I can to recover from your lies and make an escape plan. Welcome to the Saturday Sex Show. I hope you enjoyed that. We had a bit of fun this morning, trying to come up with something. We wanted a new introduction. So some of the subscribers out had said, when I asked, what do you guys want me to make? So one of the subscribers came on and said, why don't you keep it in line with the Watchtower? You know, try to throw some Watchtower stuff into your stuff. So that's what we did this morning. My good wife, she helped along with me. I don't want to take all the credit. There was a lot of mostly all her words. Let's be honest here. I'm just the actor. I'm a puppet. So today, what are we talking about? Well, we are talking about, let me see, what did she put up? EXJW activist, I need your support. Join me and let's chat. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. But I wanted to say, I don't know if you guys ever seen these, if you know what this is, eh? Do you guys know what this is down in the US? You know, down in Texas, Arizona? Yeah. Anybody online know what this is? You know, I'm gonna wait for a comment. I'm gonna hold you guys. Now, is this a violin? Is this how we do it here in Canada? What is this? Anybody know? Okay, whoever knows is going to get an applaud. Anybody? I'm going to put this down. Okay. So, everything in Canada has a dual purpose. That's all I'm going to tell you. So I want to say hi to everyone. We have a crew on. Let's put you on the small screen so you guys can actually see yourselves. You can see yourself right there. So yes, Todd Hayes. Hi Todd. Thanks for all of your support. I really appreciate all your triple comments on these sites. I'm going to tell you, you know, YouTube is a robot. There's no people behind this machine. And in order for us to work together as a community is we have SDR, an ice scraper. There you go. Here's what we're gonna do for SDR. What do we have? We have well, I can say this. Okay, yes, we use that in Canada. You guys don't use that down in the States. Now, I got caught in Vancouver. Even in Vancouver, Canada, we don't necessarily use ice scrapers. I was in Vancouver and I rented a car and there was no ice scraper in it. And it snowed that day. It was in the winter. Anyways, that was another story. But I want to get back to who's online. Clyde Bell. Hello, Clyde. How are you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. SDR. Blue Rose. Kadazalot. Did I say that right? Where am I here? Kadrazalot. GUSA. Hi, you guys. My mom is Zooming the convention. Really? Cool. How do you get the convention movies? Like, I know some of the other YouTubers get them. It's not like we have a club and we get to chat about these things. You know, in fact, it could be competitive to a lot of people out there. I don't know. I'm kind of new in this creator business. When we started this channel, we decided to do it for 3.5 years. And I thought, well, that's my penance. You know, that's what I got to give back. It seems like I had a lot of work to do. And yeah. Kadrazalot says, hey, I mixed a photo of the Bethel Watchtower with actual prison towers, and they are so similar, don't you think? So we'll have to check that out. I wonder, how can we check that out? Can I go to your site? You can let me know. Hollywood Lass. Hello from Hollywood, UK. I thought it might have been a backbrush bit. I don't know if I should be, if you guys are just chatting. But anyways, Howdy Paw it's an antique snow brush for your antique windows. You got that right. Yeah, I run an old truck. It's 2007. I'm not ashamed. It's probably the last truck I'm going to buy. 2007, that's a lot of years old, right? It's 2023. How old is that? It's quite old. It's over 10 years old. In Canada, you got to get a re-inspection for insurance after 10 years old. You know, it's like when you get old, you know, like I'm getting older now, and you got to go in and get a re-inspection to make sure you have a physical before they're even going to give you your driver's license again. So that's kind of how it is as things get older. But I'll tell you one thing. Here's what comes with being older. And I like being older. I like being who I am because I had all these years of experience. And when I left the organization in 2012, inside my mind, I wondered, why did I do it all? You know, and I never really talked to my new wife about it, to Shauna. We didn't talk about religion. And when she married me, she says, I'm not going to get into any arguments about religion with you, am I? And I said, oh, no, I'm done with that stuff. I'm completely done. And so, you know, she'd look at the horoscope in the newspaper, and so I'd look at it too, and I'd read about myself, and here I'm a Scorpio, and ooh, that's one of those signs with a stinger, you know, like, and then I start to think about that, and all of my life, I feel like I had a stinger. I would always sting. And what that is like, I don't know. It's like, you know, I would have to prove a point. And I don't know if that was a JW thing or not. I don't know. You know, I think we all have stingers, you know, really. But it's how we use those stingers, right? You know, do we use them, lash out and react, or do we use them in a good way? Can we use our stingers in a good way? There's actually a story of the Scorpio and the frog. And my wife told me about this. And she says, you know, so I'll try to tell the story without wrecking it. But anyways, there's a Scorpio that wants to get across the pond. And the frog's there. And the frog says, I'm not taking you across the pond. You're going to sting me. You're going to kill me. And the Scorpio says, no, I promise on a stack of Bibles, frog, I am not going to sting you. I'm not going to kill you. I just want to get across safely. I can't swim. You can swim. I could sting you now, and I'm not stinging you. I want to cross the pond. So the frog says, okay, get on my back. So they get halfway across the pond, and the Scorpio whips his tail around and stings the frog. And they both die. They both drown. And as they're drowning, and as he stung them, the frog says, why did you do that? And the Scorpio said, well, it's within my nature. He couldn't help it. He just had to sting him. You ever feel like that? Well, I think we all have a stinger in us, and we all feel hurt. And when you get hurt, you sting. But I don't know. Sometimes it's within our nature, so sometimes it's a little bit of a battle. It's not a good thing, right? We're going to move on. What are we talking about today? We were talking about, what's that title? EXJW Active. Yes, I need you guys' support. So that's what we're talking about today, how much of your support. But by the way, before I start saying I need more of your support, I got to show you guys what you guys helped me to do. This is unbelievable. You know, we've only been at this channel for a little over a year. And I'm going to pull it up here. There's nothing. I know, you know, some people don't like to show these parts to the channel. I'm going to show it to you guys. There's nothing to be afraid of. But this is what this is what you can get. It's a lot of hard work, and people often wonder, what can you make on YouTube? Now, what YouTube is saying to me, it says your hard work paid off. Publishing more helped your channel get 229% more views than usual, and your channel got 118,000 views, more than 25,000 to 41,000 it usually gets in 28 days. So lately, we've been getting a lot more views, and that is thanks to you guys. I take my hat off to you guys, because you guys have been obviously supporting the channel, subscribing. We knew there's a lot of people out there not subscribing, so we started asking, and sure enough, a lot of people subscribed. Now, these channels don't pay a lot. That's what this channel pays after a year, $292 Canadian. That's like $50 US. This is Canadian dollars, guys. That's all it pays. And that's with 118,000 watch hours, and our charts going up. And it tells us why our views are higher. It says you publish more videos, leading to more channel views. So YouTube loves lots of videos. And of course, with JW News, we kind of picked up that we should do that. So we started doing this JW News. Like, it's not like us creators get together and have a meeting and say, okay, you do this and I'm going to do that, and everyone just kind of does their own thing. And I don't really hear a lot from anybody out there. You hear negative stuff, of course, but anyways, we started doing all these news articles, and this is what YouTube is showing us. They actually tell us the news articles, and it's all news articles that is boosting our views. So we're going to keep doing news, of course. And the goal for us, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to waste my time. Because if I'm wasting my time, I'm just going to go do something else. It's just not worth it. And that's the type of individual I have always been. I was never, ever an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Like, I came in to this organization, and I balked at a lot of things all the way down the road. I challenged the elders on many things. So when I came in to this organization, I was already 18. I went through high school. I planned on going to university, and I planned on being an oil field engineer. My whole family was in the oil field here in Alberta. And I wanted to be a geologist. But then I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to fall in love and have all those things. And I didn't want to be, I knew in the oil field you had to be out there a long time. Sometimes geologists are out there for a month in a little rig shack in the middle of a bush, in the middle of nowhere. So I experimented. So when I was 16 years old, I lied my age. I was a farm kid, right? So I lied my age. I told my neighbor I was 18. He knew I was 16, my neighbor, but he got me on the rigs. It's all who you know, right? And the neighbor says, okay, when you fill out the paperwork, just say you're 18. And when you get into the rigs, just tell everyone you're 18. You had to be 18 to work in the oil field. I was 16. So I got into the oil field, and I was outperforming a lot of the adults out there, and they told me to slow down. Of course, when you're new, you just go like heck, and you really work hard. But I worked for 2 years in the oil field. The driller dropped the blocks, and I thought if you know anything about oil field, he dropped the blocks New Year's Eve, and the blocks came down. We're running into the hole, is what they call it, when you're putting all your drill stems into the hole, and there's a derrick man up there, and the blocks it's really fast. And we're going out there with the tongs, and we're making connections, and he dropped the blocks New Year's Eve. We had to clear the floor. We had to slide down the catwalk, and this all fell with all these cables, and he almost got fired. And we were on our shift out, so the other shift, I don't know what happened. I decided to quit. That was the end for me. And my brother was on the oil rigs, and it blew up on him. He got the BOP shut. He got everyone off the floor, but the whole rig blew up. It was a blowout. There was sour gas and everything up in our area. So this drilling rig stuff didn't fit for me, and I decided I'm going to get into electronics. So I got a job with General Electric in the fire alarm industry, and I was 18, and by then that was 2 years went by, and I finished high school, of course, just about failed. But see, farm kids have to take so much time off school. You take a month off in the fall and a month off in the spring. And once you get into high school, it's really hard to catch up. And sometimes you just give up. And that's kind of what I did. I actually enjoyed school. I tried to sneak out of the farm work and sneak to the bus and go to school. I like school better than working on the farm. And that's why I never wanted to be a farmer either. So I got into the electronics, and I got into the Jehovah's Witness organization by then. And I was 18 when I got in. And I fell in love with a girl. So that didn't work out. Too young, right? Her mom wouldn't let me marry her, and I wasn't even baptized. But anyways, she wasn't baptized either, and she had worldly girlfriends, and that's how I met her. So it was all fair, right? But they didn't allow it. And so I just went in another direction. And I ended up marrying, but I had a choice. It was interesting. And what if there's a God up there, you wonder, you go through all of this life, and you wonder, how the hell did I end up here? And I ask myself that, and I go back to the beginning, and I had two choices. I was dating, I thought I fell in love with a Mormon girl first. And I went to the Mormon Latter-day Saints. We're going to take a look at that in a bit here, how there's quite a similarity between Latter-day Saints and the Jehovah's Witnesses. But anyways, I went to the Mormon church with this girl, and the bishop had a Ferrari, and he had an orchard, and he had a big house. And she tried justifying it all, and then she wanted me to go pick fruit at the bishop's house. And I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to go pick fruit in that rich guy's house. He can go to hell. And I never went back to that church. I thought, if that's what this church is about, that's not what I am about. And so anyways, God must be listening. I don't know, but two or 3 days later, that girlfriend had another boyfriend. Like, it's just how it worked. And so then the next day, it seemed like the next day, I met this Jehovah's Witness girl. And she was riding in the back seat of my car with her girlfriend, who was worldly. And in the front seat was my buddy, Todd. He was my buddy and his girl. And he says, we're going to go pick my girlfriend up. So we went there, and I didn't have a girlfriend, right? So these two girls hops in the back seat, and one's a Jehovah's Witness. I didn't know that. And then we're driving around, and I had a Camaro, a nice car. And we drive around, and she would duck, the Jehovah's Witness girl. And I would see her in the rearview mirror, and I wonder, what the hell? Why is she ducking? And I asked, and they'd giggle, and they wouldn't. So we found out, Jehovah's Witness, and she wasn't really supposed to be out riding around with worldly boys. And that's kind of how I got hooked into the Jehovah's Witness world. And then they got me studying, and then I went to a meeting, and I thought, the elders, it's all fair. And here's what they told me, and I'll never forget this. They said, if you could go to Bethel, and they said they were in Bethel. It's like a second generation family of JWs. And the mom traveled a lot, went to lots of Bethels. And they'd go on all these big Bethel tours. And she'd said, her mom said, and they were Danish people, and she said, it's fair. The governing body eats with the Bethelites. They have jobs in Bethel. Everyone has jobs. It's all equal, and everything's the same. No one's treated unfairly. And we're going to talk about that today, folks, because I found that was inaccurate. I was lied to right from get-go, and they were lied to. They believed the bullshit. So we've seen through COVID how so many Bethelites lost their positions and were just thrown out on the street. And how here Tony Morris, he has a $250,000 flat. Sure, he doesn't own it. It's a estate, life estate. But when you're dead, who gives a heck if it goes back to the Watchtower? He has a $250,000 flat. And all these other Bethelites are thrown on the street. We're going to look at this. What I was taught was a lie right from the time I was 18. But anyways, I was this fire alarm guy, and the Jehovah's Witnesses, everywhere I went, they were jealous. There was a lot of jealousy in congregations. Elders who were janitors, they questioned why I had this job. And it wasn't long. Like I worked for GE for 5 years, and I started my own company. I wanted to pioneer, so I couldn't, pioneer working full time for them. I had to start my own company, and I did. That's how bad I wanted to pioneer. So I always believed that Jehovah, or let's not call him Jehovah, because a lot of people now know that God's name isn't Jehovah. Jehovah is a name that was given to God by the Jehovah's Witnesses. But God, I thought, God, who I thought was Jehovah back then, is gonna direct me. And I believe God did. I believe God is directing millions of Jehovah's Witnesses today, and those millions are now waking up and coming out. Jehovah's directing them. They're in there. The ones that are in there for the right reason, to help people. And this is what I told a creator the other day on the channel. It's all about helping people. We're not going to get rich off YouTube ads. It's hardly going to pay your internet bill, and you're not going to see the revenue. You're not going to see $300 until you get the view. It's all about watch time. And these little robots, if you don't have subscribers, they're not going to push you further. So this is how you guys can help. Is if you feel that the stuff that we're putting out on our channel is valuable, and obviously you do, you wouldn't be listening. Help us get it out somehow. So subscribe, like, and share. That's all you can do, and comment. And if YouTube sees a lot of comments, that drives the channel more. YouTube says, hey, there's a lot of people interested. And when you watch the videos, watch a few commercials. We get paid more. Just go have a potty break or something. Go fill your glass up with water. Let the commercial run, and creators actually get paid more. A lot of people don't know that. I don't watch the commercials. I skip them, even on my own channel. But I don't have time. But anyways, if you have time, and that's what you can do. So we don't solicit. We did start out the channel with patrons, and we decided not to solicit. And I'm not against anybody with patrons because it's expensive. My wife and I, we work on this full time, and it's just, you have to. It's a full-time job. So I've always believed if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to do it to the fullest of my extent. And that's what happened with what I did in life. I just used my own abilities. I was a fire alarm guy. Lots of guys were jealous. I went on quick builds. I would donate fire alarm equipment and stuff. And I found in the organization a lot of the brothers that were janitors and window cleaners and had less, they expect you to give them some handouts. So I tried to hire as many Jehovah's Witnesses as I could, and I hired some that I shouldn't, and I hired some very good Jehovah's Witnesses that worked with me in my company, but I always felt it was always for Jehovah, and that's how most Jehovah's Witnesses are taught. But then if you believe in spirituality, if you believe in the God of the universe, if you believe that we have a destiny or any of those things, why are we here doing things? I know what I was doing when I was a Jehovah's Witness. I was out there trying to reach people and find people that wanted to know about the Bible. Like, there's a lot of people that couldn't give a rat's ass about the Bible, any Bible. And so I talked to lots of people. I had lots of good discussions. It was a good journey. I learned how to public speak through the process. I think that gave me a lot of abilities, public speaking, in my business. I was successful as a presenter. And I was an inventor. I invented things, and I ran that through the chain. We took some simple ideas and we invented a wireless nurse call. We went to Israel with it twice. I got the trip paid completely. Twice. And the company was Visonic. They flew me in and they toured me Israel, and then they were able to suck the patent rights out of me. And they got it pretty cheap, but at the end of the day, it was their product. I modified it. I more or less was a fabricator modifier, and I'd hire electrical engineers, and we'd modify a product to make it work to do something. And therefore, we built a wireless nurse call that GE, the company I used to work for, was my biggest client in Canada. And we were even selling to Britain. We were modifying these things for Britain. And then eventually Visonic said, no, we gotta make our own. They made their own. It didn't work as good. Then they came back to us, and we kept making them and making money off all this stuff all over the world. Britain, UK, that's about as far as we went. The Australians had their own system. They had some really good stuff. But I was a technology guy, and I was always dealing with computers. I was always dealing with PowerPoint presentations. I was dealing with lawyers. I had a good lawyer. I had a couple of bad lawyers. So I know what good lawyers and bad lawyers are like. I fought my dad's estate. We won that. And we had a Jehovah's Witness lawyer that cost us a pile of money. Yeah, Fedoric in Edmonton. Cost us the farm. I had to give up the farm because of that turkey. And yeah. But anyways, the Jehovah's Witness lawyers are not the best lawyers. We're gonna look at them. They're liars. They tell you what you want to hear, and there's a lot of bad Jehovah's Witness lawyers. Now, what we're finding, what we're gonna have to do here in Canada, and I just want to pull my screen up here for you guys. What we're going to have to do here in Canada is, and this is what we're working hard on, is this Stop Funding Organized Religions in Canada that practice discrimination, Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I only have 3.5 years, and after that, I'm not going to be on this channel. The channel's going to go dead. I only have about 2 years to get this going, and I need a lot of help. I only have 520 supporters here in Canada. I think that's ridiculous. I've been at this for 6 months. And I've been asking and asking. It's on every one of my videos, and this is getting discouraging. I need some help. I just need to get supporters. Is there only 520 Blinken supporters in Canada? Come on, guys. Why do I not have Canadians on this channel? Is there other Canadians? I've reached out to Brian Pickens. I understand he's a Canadian, but he never calls back. None of the creators ever get back. Ryan comes on our channel, says hi. Gilbert, that's it. A few others. But we need help. We need support to get this darn thing done. Like, what am I doing this for? This organization has to be stopped. You guys watch this stuff. Now we need the support. So if someone's out there, please reach out. Now, here's the guys we're up against. And I'm not afraid to go up against these guys. And it'll take a trip to Supreme Court, and we're going to have to fight this turkey. This is Howe and Associates. This is Canadain. We're going to listen to him, and I want you guys to hear how he lies. And this is why this petition is so important. And we're going to put him on the screen. It's up against this guy in Calgary. This is an Alberta case.
Drunkenness, one in which he was hospitalized. A committee of 4 elders met with him with the goal of spiritual restoration. They wanted to have him repent from his sins. As the meeting progressed with Mr. Wall, the elders came to the decision that Mr. Wall was not sufficiently repentant for his disgraceful conduct, and the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship him. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship with the individual. And as I point out, sorry, Chief Justice. As I point out at paragraph 22 of my factum, the nature of the relationship then of a disfellowship person is not completely shunned. The disfellowship person is able to come into the congregation, to the congregation meetings. They're able to attend in the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're able to sit wherever they like. They can sing the spiritual songs with the congregation. As far as their family members are concerned, normal family relations continue with the exception of spiritual fellowship. And the door is not closed to Mr. Wall either. The person who is disfellowshipped can, after a period of time, ask to be reinstated in the congregation, because that's the purpose of the discipline. But as I repeat to what Justice Wagner had asked earlier, the applicant's position is that they're not above the law and that its decisions are never reviewable. In Telezone, this court pointed to contract, tort, and other causes of action which are primarily designed to right private wrongs with compensation or other forms of relief at paragraph 24 of that judgment. That's a whole armament of remedies.
Okay, so this is this is from Avoid JW, and there's some great people on this side of the fence really doing a lot of work anonymously for nothing. I think of Be Free, the people behind Be Free, and Avoid JW. There's a couple of others, but they do a great job in activism. And we're going to look at some on Twitter today here. But here is where I need the help in Canada. If there's a lawyer, a Canadian lawyer that can help us. I have no money, but I have a lot of experience. And I have a lot of experience dealing with law, but we need help to get our petition out, to get it to the right person. My good wife is doing all the work, and she's not a lawyer, and she was never ever even a Jehovah's Witness. Really, she's helping the community, helping me to help the community, and she's doing this on her own, doing all the research. So I don't know how she got this far, but she says now we need to get an MP in Canada, and we need to get a favorable MP after 1,000 petitions. So we need 1,000, and we need 480 more. So I don't know how you guys can help us speed this up and it doesn't have to be just ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. This can be anybody in Canada. There's 40 million people in Canada. I don't even know the EXJW's communities, or if there is anything going on in Canada and Alberta. No one's reached out really, maybe a few people, but nothing's coming back at us. So I'm asking the community, and I hope this video goes out, and if you can help us with this video, pass it out, because I'm looking for a lawyer. Like, if I'm not going to waste my damn time here. We're either going to shut this religion down as a charity like they did in Norway, and we're going to have to go to the Supreme Court in Canada to do it. That's what we're going to have to be up against this guy. We're going to have to challenge this guy for lying like he just did. Bring this up. This has to be brought up to the Supreme Court, played right in court. Now, this is a 3-hour video if you want to watch it. I went through it, and back at about 51 minute mark, he talks about it. 42-minute mark, they brought it up again. So the Supreme Court, they listened to this turkey, and the Supreme Court kind of knows that this is bullshit. But you see that none of them are Jehovah's Witness, and the lawyer that this Calgary guy had, he was a bad lawyer. I listened to him. He was mumbling, and he had no confidence. This guy has a bit of confidence. I've worked with some lawyers that litigate, that love to get in there, and they're Scorpios. They sting. They sting. It's their nature to sting. And these guys need stung. That's my thoughts. They're getting away with this stuff in our Supreme Court in Canada. And there's got to be some legal recourse to take these guys out. I'm a Canadian. I'm running a petition, and I'm asking for some help. So we're going to run this back. I want you guys to listen to this liar, because we got to expose the liars. So, and then he even goes on to call the guy evil. He calls Well evil. The guy in Calgary that was suing them. He was suing them for disfellowshipping because he lost his livelihood, and that's what happens. The problem he had, this guy in Calgary, is they brought this all out in court. If you listen to this, it's all public. But he hit his wife, and he was disciplined, and he got drunk, and he was I don't know. I've seen this in Jehovah's Witness. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are dealing with cognitive dissonance, and they drink a lot. Lots of them. Lots of elders drink. Every elder I took up north with me, and I had to take elders because they wouldn't let me sign out unassigned territories. I had to pay their way. But I got fire alarm work up north, and I always thought Jehovah's looking after it all, The first trip I treated like a holiday and paid it out of my pocket, and went in this unassigned territory to experience it, and an elder came with me, and we split the trip, and after that, I was quite, what do you do for a living? You're in these communities, right? And they're paying like $20,000 to get their fire alarm serviced, to fly into and it's just ridiculous. Like, people just hose these little indigenous communities, and then the government just pays it all. So I just started doing it for what it should cost, and we made enough money to pay 2 or 3 people to always come up with me. And they get to experience the North work. And then, until the local elders shut it right down. They actually, for the last couple of years, they said, Vern, you can preach locally, but you're not allowed to preach in unassigned territory. And I said, why? And they said, because we said so. What it was is one of my kids had some issues and moved out of the home, and there was some issues. He had to be reproved privately. They call it private reproof. So they reproved him, and then they said, you can't be a pioneer anymore, and you can't have privileges, and we're not allowing you to even preach in the unassigned territory, which everyone around me, even other elders, thought this was bullshit. It's an authoritarian religion. So if you get 3 elders on a body deciding on something, it's like God. And even the Watchtower, they'll pull in another body, and you can ask for an appeal. But now you have 6 elders, and I did that. You have 6 elders sitting there, and it's just you and 6 elders. And I'm saying, why the hell are they there? And they said, then they said, well, in case you say something we didn't say. Like, it's just, you have no right to really speak your mind. Now, if I had a lawyer on my side, I'd like to get all of those 6 elders, sit them down and put them in court and deal with them for what they have done, what they have said. This stuff has to be dealt with. We can talk on these channels all we want. But until we do something about it, we're not going to get anywhere with these guys. And there has to be lawyers and stuff on our side that can help us.
As the meeting progressed with Mr. Wall, the elders came to the decision that Mr. Wall was not sufficiently repentant for his disgraceful conduct, and the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship him. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship.
And that's his first lie. So disfellowship does not mean no spiritual fellowship. Or we know, and I did a video on this, we know from looking at the literature, looking at their tapes, looking at their assemblies, this is a bold-faced lie. He's making it appear to the court that it's just there's no spiritual association. That's all. So I'm from the outside, and I'm saying, oh, it's just like the Catholic Church, kind of. It means we can eat together, we can go play ball, I can go fishing with my son. No, you see, that's not what it is. This court needs to hear the real truth. And that's coming, my friend, Canadain. That's coming. And then we have a chance to have our court deal with this guy for obstructing justice. This is an obstruction of justice. And we could get into this, but I haven't. If you look at, I have Watchtower Scandal 1 and 2, I think I dealt with it. It's what they call theocratic warfare strategy, and there's no scriptures in it, but they're allowed to lie in court. And that has to be brought out. These guys have to be brought like drug clean in court, in so many courts. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. So that's my harp. That's my number 1 harp. Number 1. It's irritated me so much just doing this program and thinking I'm here in Canada. We need some support in Canada. Next harp is Tony Morris. It's this unfairness. And this is a big scandal, Tony Morris getting this house. Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys know this already, but here he is. It's the world, what do they call this? Anthony Morris was baptized, blah, 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 served as a circuit overseer. His home is in Lumberton. And it's purchased by the Religious Order of Jehovah's Witnesses. The Religious Order of Jehovah's Witnesses. Has anybody ever heard of that? So I did some more research. I wanted to know about this Religious Order of Jehovah's Witnesses and what it's all about. And, they mention it once on their website in a kingdom ministry. And they just said, yeah, it's so they can buy things through it, I guess. So we look at the new corporations formed here, and they they talk about it here. There's a Christian congregation. There's a religious order of. Here it is. Can you guys see that? I'm gonna disappear here. Okay, so it's right here. The Christian Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, and then they have the Religious Order of Jehovah's Witnesses right there. So, and that's all it says. These are just these new corporations. And it says these will operate along with the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, and publishers may receive correspondence from any of these corporations. Your cooperation with these adjustments made by the governing body in fulfilling this assignment to care for the master's belongings will be greatly appreciated. And that's how they kind of close that. And that was in 2002. So then I wanted to know more about this religious order, and I even went on to the structure of the governing body, on Wikipedia, and we look at it. I thought it mentioned a religious order here. I don't see it standing out. Talks about branch offices, traveling overseers, congregations, elders, ministerial servants, publishers, blah, blah, blah. Everything that we already know. But this religious order, I did not know about this, what it is. So then I wanted to know, what are religious orders? So I did some more research on religious orders. And well, they took this from the Catholic Church. Quite honestly, they took this. This is all Catholic Church stuff. So a religious order is a lineage of communities and organizations of people who live in some way set apart from society in accordance with their specific religious devotion, usually characterized by the principles of its founders' religious practice. It is usually composed of lay people and, in some orders, clergy, and such orders exist in many of the world's religions. So this is really a Catholic thing. The Catholics had priests and nuns, and they had monasteries that the nuns would live in, and they even had orphanages, the Catholic Church, which the Jehovah's Witnesses don't. They don't help orphans or widows, but other religions do. And other religions provide for the people in their Bethels. They're full-time workers. They have like nunneries and priesteries, I don't know, homes, like old age homes for these people. It's part of a religious order. Now, I guarantee you that the government, well, it's all tax-free, and because it's a religious order, I guarantee you there's a huge amount of government assistance. Here in Canada, our government's very charitable, apparently. And there will be lots of government assistance to these religious orders. So the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to make a religious order to get all this funding to look at. But it's going to be something like they have to put in 50% and the government will, or maybe they'll have to put in 70% and maybe the government will chip in 30%. I don't know. But the Watchtower is not going to help everyone with their religious order because it would cost them lots of money. You see, when we look at their religious order here, the Watchtower is buying a new house for Anthony Morris, but a lot of us are wondering if that's kind of blackmail. Is that going on? Because no one else gets a new house, and I thought, and you thought, that everybody's equal, that the governing body are equal to everyone else. Circuit overseers, Bethelites, everyone's equal. That's at least what I was told and taught when I signed up with this religion. So it looks like maybe that's not the case. And why? Well, let's take it further. Now we know a religious order is something that all religions do. Let's take it one step further. Let's look. I wanted to research, and we're going to look at the Bethel Handbook. I even found that, and we got it off of EXJW. Thanks a lot, of EXJW. We downloaded it, and we had to transcribe it from German to English. My good wife did that, and she found some translator program. So we got that done, and I'm going to look at and show you what they make, what Bethelites make. First of all, a longtime Bethel couple leaves to become special pioneers. What are you hearing about this? Heard a first-hand experience this week of a longtime Bethel couple that are leaving and will be paid monthly stipend to be gone from Bethel. I don't know what that stipend means. These are 30-plus year Bethelites, and if you are not aware, since the 1990s, the Borg has used the reassignment process, and I read about that. to exit longtime Bethelites from Bethel. And the way it works is that the Bethel Pruders ask a couple to leave Bethel and become special pioneers. In most cases, it is a matter of Bethel giving the couple a choice of being dismissed with nothing or become special pioneers. In fairness, I don't know every detail of the way this works since the board got into some lawsuits related to booting out longtime Bethelites with nothing. It could be that the longtime Bethelites can now request this as a way to exit, basically a retirement program. Not exactly sure on that one. Once the Bethel couple agrees to become special pioneers, then they have around 3 months to make a plan and then leave Bethel. And once they leave, then the board pays out a living expense payment to the Bethel couple. And this is a relatively small amount that is much below a poverty income. Does anybody know what Bethel pays out? Because I'll show you the Bethel handbook in a few minutes, and it says it doesn't give a number. So, and it actually says it's different, but there must be a kind of a basic idea. Eh? So, anyways, it says it's much below the poverty income. I know we don't live; we're much below the poverty income, but I'm curious. Basically, enough to pay for bare bones poverty lifestyle, and generally the Bethel couple needs to get jobs to supplement things. Anyways, this has been happening on an ongoing basis since the mid-1990s, and I personally know quite a few ex-Bethelites that were excited this way. Now, I know in Canada here, I'm going to be 60, so I know I can get, but I paid in to what we call CCP. It's a Canadian Pension Plan, and all my working years, I paid into this. You pay into it on your income tax, and it's actually deducted, or should be. And all my life. So then you get, in Canada, you can get an early retirement, but it's only like $300 a month or something. It's not much. Toothpaste money. But at least it's something, if we take our YouTube channel, that's $300. We take that's $300. And, we do an off-grid channel and get that going. Well, then, pretty soon you can make a living, kind of, but not really. But anyways, if you don't have other expenses like mortgages and car payments and all those kinds of things, it really, really helps to be a creator and not have to ask for money, which we're not asking anybody for money. But once a Bethel couple agrees to leave, and these people that are in Bethel, I'm finding out they don't have any money. They're not looked after like this religious order that Tony Morris is under. But it says in their Bethel contract they're under the order. So I think they could sue. They could sue for, they could open this up for, it's being unequal. And if everyone's under the same religious order, why is Tony Morris getting a house and why is there another house? You see, as these Bethelites wake up, as people wake up in Bethel, and they want to go after the Watchtower, well, there's inequality happening. And if you're retired, you're 60 years old, and you leave Bethel, or 65, you did not pay into all these retirement programs like all of us working people have done. You're in Bethel. Nothing's being paid into these retirement programs, and you have nothing. And that's where this religious order has to provide for you. That's what their contracts say. And that's where they're taking it at. And I think that's another area they can be sued for. So I'm going to go on to... I think we covered this religious order and how they're so unfair. I want to look at this. Here's the, where is it here? Here it is. Okay, so it's on, this is, thanks to Avoid JW, this is what it looks like. This is the Bethel contract. It's 34 pages. And apparently you don't get this until you go to Bethel. They get you in there and then they throw this in front of you. So there's a table of contents. I wanted to know about pocket money, personal expenses, so I went to 26. And it says, here's what it says. It talks about everything in here. They have so many ways of kicking a person out and not paying them anything. And that's what I think Bethel is doing with this contract. And I think it's entrapment. There's a legal term, entrapment. If they've told people to come into Bethel, and based on a one-page agreement, that's what they sign at the Kingdom Hall. And then they get to Bethel, and there's a 34-page agreement. They've already kind of sold everything and vowed to poverty. And they get there, And there's another contract that has so many ways to get you out of Bethel without giving you anything. That's called entrapment. And everyone should be allowed to have an attorney look at this stuff and review it. So I think as people wake up, because of the entrapment, because of the obstruction of justice with this organization, I think these people can sue Bethel now for sustenance, especially if they're retirement age, especially. So keep that in mind if you're watching this program. Now, here's what I'm seeing: pocket money and account for personal expense. So every Bethel servant receives a monthly pocket money, it says. So my question is, how much monthly pocket money does a Bethelite get? And I'll go to the comments here and see if anybody has an answer. Now it says the level of the amount is determined by the publishing committee. So it sounds like it varies from country to country, perhaps, probably, because in another country it might cost a dime, in our country it might cost $1. So it's hard to say. In addition, an account for personal expenditure established, they call it a PEA, personal expenditure. That's in addition. And this money is for medical treatment. And it says jeans, medical treatment jeans. I'm wondering if that's clothing. Because remember, this is a translation from Germany to English, right? So, and then it says medication or other personal expenses. So it sounds like they'll give you a little bit more money if you have, maybe you got to have pills or something that you buy every month. And then it says for each full calendar month at Bethel, one receives an amount determined by the publishing committee in each full month. And it says in most branches, the monthly amounts for a year are paid together and credited to the account at the end of the calendar year. So that means you have to work for a whole year in Bethel before you get anything more than pocket change. Maybe they give you $25 a month pocket change, but to get your real allowance, maybe your real allowance is $200 or $300 a month. I don't know, but you have to work a whole year before you get that. So let's say it's $300 a month. Like, is it really just that much? I don't know. You guys tell me. But if it was $300 a month times 12, that's $3,600 a year. They have to work all year to get that money. And then they can go on holidays. So usually they'll take that $3,600, buy a couple plane tickets, get the hell out of there, go home or something, right? Because you're just sick of Bethel by then. And I've heard it. I've heard this from honest Bethelites. I had one that worked for me. So anyways, in most branches, the monthly amounts are paid at the end of the year. And then it says from then on, you can dispose of the money. And those attending Gilead School or retiring from special full-time service during a calendar year may receive early payment for the months they served at Bethel. And that matches up. Let's say you're of retirement age and it's not at the end of the calendar year, it's halfway through. Well, they're going to pay you out your yearly amount and send you off, it sounds like, into special pioneering. And I was reading through this. It's a 34-page document. And you can get it in German off of EXJW. We have it as a PDF if anybody wants to see it. Okay, I'm going to get off this channel. What am I on here? Oh yeah, that was just a PDF look at her. Okay, now we're going to move into Twitter, and I want to, but first of all, let's look at the live. Anybody... Did anybody figure out how much a Bethelite makes? That's what I was really wondering. Anybody? Any takers? No one? No one. No one knows what they make in Bethel. Okay, well, my good wife will post it in a blue thing, I think. Is there anything I should check out? No, I'm on the live chat, so I don't see anything here. So, yeah, check out our web page. I'm going to show that at the end here. Most of these privileges are reserved for the independent wealthy witnesses. Really? Well, we need to be, what we need to do is $45 Hopcraft said they make $45. So is that the monthly allowance? Is that the pocket change? You see, there's two allowances. There's a monthly amount that they get at the year end, and then they send them off on holidays for different Bethelites earn different amounts of holiday. So SDR says $90 a month when I left. So that's all they were paying out. So at the end of the year, you're getting 90 times 12, like $1,000. That's it. But that must have been a lot of years ago, maybe, eh? You know, maybe it changed with inflation. But what were you getting for pocket change at Bethel? So this is peanuts. And then how the heck are you going to live? Like I just, I think that if people retire out of Bethel, they have to provide them through this. If they've been in all their life in Bethel and they have nothing, you can't just throw people on the street, but they are. And that's what it looks like. So I'm looking for more information. It's interesting. I think there's lawsuits. I think as these Bethelites wake up, the older ones, they can sue them. Because the end didn't come. You see, the Watchtower gambled the end would have been here long ago and they wouldn't have to deal with all this. But now the end didn't come. Now they have to deal with all this old age, all these people that retired. And guess what, Watchtower? There's new rules, new laws. There's new business laws. There's these the government's giving you a religious order funding. So Watchtower is in a position. They're in a little bit of a pickle here. Hopscraft, it pays for a bottle of Macallan's Scotch. That's it, eh? So that's Tony Moritz must have dipped into the pie to go get his whole cart full of that stuff. But anyways, he had special privileges. I think he's blackmailing them. That's my honest opinion. But who the heck knows? Show me another Bethelite. Show me another one that gets what Tony Morris gets. And if there are none others, then we have reasonable doubt to understand that Tony Moritz has blackmailed the Watchtower, and the Watchtower went for it because he has something on the Watchtower. That's my supposition, folks. So that's all it is. Now, we're going to carry on with the program here. It sounds like someone said here, Kadazalot said $120 a month. Marcus Vaughn, I thought, said $120 a month, but more for higher uppers. Interesting. So it's not a fair system. You see, I was told it was fair for everyone. I bet you the governing body eats in a separate lounge than the rest of the workers. I wonder. This is another thing I wonder about, because I was never willing to put the money into going to Bethel. I wasn't going to go on one of those cruises. Now, I went to the Antigua Bethel and the Dominican Republic Bethel, but those are completely different Bethels than Canada and New York. Completely different. They're small little homes. Everyone's kind of treated the same. And that's where they're treated the same, on these offshore Bethels. Now, Joe and Fran said snowbrush. You're absolutely right. Snowbrush. So we have a few northerns in the U.S. that need snow brushes, but you go down to California, they don't have snow brushes. They don't even know what this stuff is. Vancouver in Canada, they hardly had them. Anyways, let's move on in our program, guys. Thanks for being online. Thanks for the chats. We're gonna carry on. Have you ever? Do you guys follow Twitter? My good wife got us on Twitter, and Twitter. Here, I'm just gonna put it up here. Here's Twitter. What do we have here? Profile, and so I'm kind of learning it. You'll see if you're on Twitter, please subscribe to our account. This is what it looks like. I guess it's another area that us activists have to. Well, I did have to talk to an activist in Australia, and I did it through Twitter at the very beginning. So that was my first time I signed up on Twitter. Now we're on Twitter. My wife watches it. I look at it every so often. She posts some of our stuff on here. If you're wondering what happened to Warwick Pimo, it's right here. You can click on there. And what does he say? He says he took his own channel down. Firstly, I'd like to apologize. I took my own channel down. They didn't take it down. He just took it down. We don't know why. He said he'll be back. Then we go on to who's here. There's all kinds of good guys. Now, Larchwood, we really like Larchwood. And he's a good activist. He does some really good posts. I want to show you one. Ron Pomo is another activist we follow on Twitter, and he does some really good posts. So there's one here I wanted to show you from... that's my profile. I'm supposed to look at verified, maybe? Oh, I know what I was supposed to do. Look at profile. My wife showed me this. Like I say, I don't know it that well. I got to go all the way back up here, and I gotta go to the likes, the ones that we liked. There you go. So we liked Larchwood. Do elders... okay, so where's the one Larchwood? Here it is. Larchwood did this one, so big thumbs up to Larchwood. So he says, I just saw this post about LDS leaders, and it is similar to those taking the lead, and they're uncanny. So we all know the governing body here, right? I'm going to get out of the picture here. So here's the governing body, and so we go down, and we're going to hit this LDS link, and it pulls us into the LDS link. Now, it's actually an LDS link, but you can't really, you got to have a code to get in and talk to them. But here's their leaders. This is the LDS. They have 9 leaders, just like the governing body. Like, it's just so uncanny. And then Joseph, it says here, every leader of the Mormon church has been saying this, and every one of them has been wrong. Joseph Smith even claimed God revealed the end was 56 years away, and that failed. So they're all saying the same thing, the Mormons and the JWs. So that's kind of interesting. So let's go down. There's one other thing I wanted to show you. Oh, this was an interesting one. Did you see this one? I'm going to move off the screen. So this is Massimo right here. Everyone knows Massimo from Bitter Winter. Well, he's in with the devil cult. It's a devil cult here. He's in the picture with it. What does it say here? Do you know who the man on the left is and the man in the middle? Left is Lucian Grease. He's a co-founder of Satanic Temple. And the bald man in the middle is Massimo Intravine. And he's the JW activist with Bitter Winter. That's right on the Jehovah's Witness site. And he's working for them to help him in Russia and in the Netherlands, and also he's trying to help him in New Zealand, where there's so much bad publicity on Jehovah's Witnesses. So this guy Massimo, he actually works for cults. He works for Scientologists, and but here he's with the Satan Temple. And ask yourself, why is Watchtower affiliated with Intravine? Okay, Massimo Intravine. So go on Google and put in Massimo plus Watchtower, and you'll see it. We did that on one of our other shows. So I thought that was interesting. Going down, there's another one I wanted to show you. And where is it? It's on the latest, maybe it's way at the top here and I missed it. I'll go all the way up. Okay, it was a liked one, so it should show up. And it was on right here. Larchwood did this one. And he says, I think it's funny that JW.org will quote the UN Secretary General to back up their article when at the same time they identify the United Nations as a disgusting thing. And then he cites this. So I went to the publication that JWs are quoting, and this is right here. This on their website. It's just very recent on JW.org. And it's a global food crisis fueled by war, climate change, and what does the Bible say? And right in their opening statement, they say the production and the availability of food is being distributed by conflict, climate change, energy prices, and more. And they quoted Antonio Guterres from the UN Secretary General, July 17th of 2023. So here they are quoting the UN, the Secretary General of the UN. And here, they're talking about hungry and food crisis, right? And they open this article by saying that the war in the Ukraine, coupled with effects of climate change, continues to wreak havoc on global food supplies, and this is especially the case in developing lands where many struggle to get enough food. And their opening statement is the UN Secretary General, and they're using this as an authority on the matter. And so what Larchwood is really pointing to is this. I'm going to probably have to pull it up. This topic here. Yeah. So here it is. If you go to the Watchtower 20th, page 2 to 7, the Watchtower 20th, which one is that? I'm not sure. But here it says, the King of the North has supported the King of the South. I'm going to get off the screen so you guys can see the words. Okay, so the King of the North has supported the King of the South in one endeavor, and they put in place a disgusting thing that causes desolation. And they come out and say it. That disgusting thing is the United Nations. So that's how bold they are. They write in their articles, and you and I know that if you've been in the organization, all the way through the time I was in, the 30 years I was in, they always said the United Nations was a disgusting thing. But now Jehovah's Witnesses are using them when it suits them. You know, why would, if the United Nations is the disgusting thing, why are you using their quote as the very first quote in your article? That's what I ask Watchtower. If the United Nations is a disgusting thing, or is the Watchtower trying to get into bed with the United Nations because they realize the United Nations is going to give them handouts? So the Watchtower wants to get into bed. If there's a disaster in a country, they want to take the handouts from the UN, and then they want to pull in all their people into a lineup with a little basket and a food thing or whatever, and they want it Watchtower controlled. And the Watchtower wants to work with the UN and get all the support. So the Watchtower isn't using voluntary money for this. But they'll get your money because you'll be leaving your home, and they'll tell you your home's destroyed in Armageddon. Sign it over to them. This is really what the Watchtower's after. It's a cult. And but if you want to follow the Watchtower lineup, I think you're gonna, I don't think it's gonna be there. I think this is just all a fictional dream. It's just their thought. But right now, the Watchtower is talking kindly about the United Nations. But before, they were talking about them in a disgusting way. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Watchtower views that in coming months. So now we're going to go, where are we on 3:39? We've got lots of time, actually. At 2:30. We've only been an hour into the show. I got one topic. We're going to look at this. If you guys... here's our website. What is it? Oh, that's our homestead website. Now, I put a link in the descriptions below. And some online said, how can we support you? Now, we don't solicit for money. But again, if you want to support us, make a contribution, that's great. We'll use it. And it's not that we can't use it. So, but we don't solicit. I want you to know that. And we welcome everyone on our channel. And we don't really need any money. We're eating. We have chickens. We actually have eggs every day. And so everything works for us. And just like all my life, it seems like the big guy is always providing. There's always seems to be enough. And then when I need more, the big guy provides more, it seems like. That's what it always has been in my life. I've always had enough, and I was always content with little. So, it works. But if you come to our site, it's there. It's Gone with the Grid, Fixing My Faith. And we're trying, my wife does all of this. So a big thumbs up to Shauna, my wife. She does everything here. And believe me, there's a lot of know-how to put together a site. And to have an accredited site, now we have an accredited site, it's all registered, and it's been, because I've had my YouTube for so many years in business, and then I use my name, that I had in business all those years, it helps to building a solid foundation. And we've always, in our businesses, we've been self-employed, so we've always known how to do remote transfers and things like that. But the easiest way is PayPal. It's the cheapest. And if you want to contribute on YouTube, you can. But keep in mind that they take a large portion of it. I think something like 30%. I'm not sure. I don't want to quote it. But my wife knows all about that. And Fixing My Faith, we have a little bit of a channel here. We're going to try to keep it a little bit up to date. It talks about, am I really in a cult? And you can go on to recovering from religion here. If you're Canadian, there's a tab here to our petition here, right here on our site. And there's a book here. This is a way of supporting any of the creators out there that write books. If you don't read books, you can get this one for free if you have an ebook. If you have one of those ebook things, you can get it for free. But if it's a paperback, Amazon just puts a price on it. They actually put the price on it for the cost of the paper, and then they give us a little bit. So there's a book there if you read books. The YouTube channel Fixing My Faith is here. And that's about it. Now we were putting merchandise, but that didn't really pan out. I don't think people need a whole pile of merchandise. But anyways, so far we're doing okay. But there's our site. My wife just got a lot of this finished, so it's right here, gone with the grid, and you can check it out. So I'm going to go back to this part of the program. So EXJW activist, I need your support. So yes, please help us here if you can. If you're in other parts of the world and you have friends in Canada, if you know people in Canada, shoot them an email and say, hey, could you support our endeavor here? I know it's hard once you're in EXJW. We don't have a lot of worldly affiliates, so it's kind of that's kind of the situation I'm in. It's really I don't know anybody around me here in Alberta that's an EXJW, and I know they're there, but I've never seen them on the site. We've never had discussions, so I don't even know if there's other creators in Canada. I don't even know that. So if there is, let me know on the channel, and I would appreciate knowing more about the community and how we can help the community. So my last part of my discussion here, and I'm just going to clear my... There, you didn't have to hear that. Thanks. Now the last part of the program here, I think I'm going to save it just for a bit here. And we're going to have a little break here, and I'm going to put on a movie for you guys to watch. And I'm going to use one of the Watchtower Helper movies. See what he's running here. There. Okay. I think we'll run this one.
Brothers, sisters, and interested ones. To open our exciting convention, we are proud to present the stand-up comedy of the governing body. Featuring those wacky members, brothers David Splain and Stephen Lett. Let's give them a real love-bombing witness welcome.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to read a letter that's been circulating among the brothers and sisters recently. You know, during the pandemic, especially, we often spread the word by means of such letters, and they continue to provide a good witness. This one is a model. Though we aren't usually this frank with householders, I think it pays to be more direct in the written word. And these words pack a lot of truth onto one page. Dear neighbor, since the end of the world as we know it is dangerously near, we are writing you to tell you the things your minister has not told you, but which Jehovah's Witnesses want you to know. Jesus Christ, as Michael the Archangel, returned invisibly in the year 1914, the start of the last days, and proceeded to judge all Christian religions. In 1919, Jesus personally selected the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, aka Jehovah's Witnesses, as God's Spirit-directed organization to preach the good news of God's kingdom before God destroys all human governments and false religion in the approaching Battle of Armageddon. Therefore, it is imperative that everyone who wishes to avoid destruction by Jehovah at Armageddon become a Jehovah's Witness as soon as possible. Admittedly, the Watchtower previously claimed that Armageddon would definitely occur in 1914, then again in 1925 it stated that an earthly resurrection of the faithful men of old would certainly occur. Then it was strongly suggested that Armageddon would occur in 1975, when Watchtower officials coined the phrase, "Stay alive till 75." But those were just the predictions of imperfect men. This time, however, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is really sure. So, do not hesitate any longer. Do not make the common mistake of reading your Bible without the aid of Watchtower publications, because you might conclude that Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong. The governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is Christ's faithful and discreet slave, and only the governing body can accurately interpret the Bible. So, forget everything your minister has told you, because all religions, except for Jehovah's Witnesses, are false religion, and their ministers are actually ministers of Satan, who has blinded their eyes. They may preach that Jesus is the mediator between God and men, according to 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5, but they have not told you that Jesus is only the mediator for the 144,000 Christians who are Spirit-anointed to go to heaven. True, Jesus said that no one comes to the Father except through him, but the only way to Jesus is through the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, the faithful and discreet slave. Only 144,000 Christians were given the hope of going to heaven with Jesus. All other Christians who survive Armageddon will enjoy everlasting life on a cleansed paradise earth. Only a small number of those 144,000 Spirit-anointed Christians remains on earth today, and all of those are Jehovah's Witnesses. They alone should partake of the bread and wine when commemorating the annual Lord's evening meal. Jehovah's Witnesses believe it is a sin to accept life-saving blood transfusions, because the Bible plainly tells Christians to abstain from blood. Admittedly, many scholars say that the only biblical prohibition regarding blood was against eating the blood of animals killed for food. But those scholars are wrong, because the faithful and discreet slave says so. Just as we said vaccinations, organ transplants, and blood fractions were against God's law. We were wrong about that, but, thousands of Jehovah's Witness men, women, and children have died for refusing life-saving blood transfusions because only the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses can determine what is or is not a matter of conscience, because they speak for Jehovah himself. And, according to the Watchtower, one must be prepared to obey the governing body or one's local elders even if doing so makes no sense from a strategic or human standpoint. If one dies needlessly by doing so, there is always the resurrection hope for those who die for obeying the governing body. But, of course, it's not the person who died that will be resurrected. A new creature will be created and programmed with their memories. The dead loved one will still be dead, forever. And resurrected spouses will be spouses no more. People who leave their family's religion and become a Jehovah's Witness are often disowned and shunned by their families. Such persecution is to be expected because Jesus said he came to cause such divisions among families. However, when Jehovah's Witnesses ostracize, cut off and shun family members who leave their religion for conscientious reasons, such as unscriptural Watchtower teachings and practices, it is out of love to help the straying one return to Jehovah. Tearing families apart out of love is encouraged by the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't be distracted by all the lawsuits and negative publicity against Jehovah's Witnesses for failing to report the crimes of pedophile elders, ministerial servants, and pioneers, missionaries, within their congregations, which crimes were never reported to civil authorities but were kept hidden in a secret Watchtower database. Jehovah's Witnesses are in the world, but they are not of the world. As Jehovah's representatives, they have the right to disobey laws which they deem to be in conflict with Jehovah's laws. Like the first-century Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses must obey Jehovah as ruler rather than men. So, it is okay for Jehovah's Witnesses to withhold the truth for the purpose of misleading enemies of Jehovah, even if they do so in courts of law after having sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Of course, when we swear to you that we're telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you can trust us implicitly.
Yeah, sure.
Before visiting a Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, be advised that Jehovah's Witnesses are well-groomed and modestly dressed. Their female, approved associates wear minimal makeup and jewelry, and choose dresses that show no cleavage and with hemlines below the knee. Their male, approved associates refrain from wearing beards and tight pants which were designed by homosexuals, according to the Faithful and Discreet Slave. Visitors are encouraged to adhere to these guidelines in order to fit in and to avoid receiving judgmental stares from others. Sincerely, your smiling Jehovah's Witness neighbors.
It's a great letter, but it should also mention that you have to give up birthdays, Christmas, masturbation, your worldly friends and family, and all non-Watchtower publications. Then it would be perfect. But weren't we supposed to tell jokes?
Oh, it's good to laugh at ourselves sometimes, brothers and sisters. It keeps us humble. And we know Jehovah himself is a practical jokester. Remember that time he afflicted the Philistines with hemorrhoids. Here's one. How is a sister like a piñata?
I don't know, Brother Spillane. How is a sister like a piñata?
They get hit on, then spill their guts in court, about how they were sexually abused.
Yeah, I'd like to hit them myself sometimes, with the rod of chastisement, for all the trouble they caused the society.
You keep your rod in your pants this time, Stephen. We don't want this crowd to laugh too hard.
Hey, my wife Susan has never complained about it after 45 years of marriage.
That's only because she's not allowed to speak.
Hey, I've got one. How is a Jehovah's Witness child like a physically and mentally handicapped person?
They can't engage in sports or acquire a higher education. What happens to the world when all the brothers quit their jobs to devote full time to the ministry? Their grass grows tall and their windows stay dirty. Thank you, you've been great. But you'll never be as great as us.
Hey, where'd everybody go?
They couldn't handle the truth, I guess.
Hey, David, we're in the dark.
Yes, Stephen. We're in the dark. You should be used to that by now.
That is hilarious. Like the amount of work that went into that video, you know, turning the lights off and
Comedy of the
everything. It's just a very well done video. Now, this is Watchtower Help Club. If you don't know who they are, this is Watchtower Help Admin. And so if you can support them, subscribe and watch the movies on their channel. It's a good commercial movie for us. And of course, we got their permission to play a movie here or there, but not abuse it, because we're really trying to, and he's probably trying to monetize as well, and at least pay his internet bill for uploading and stuff like that. And it takes a while, and it takes a lot of watch time and watching all the movies, so that's why it's important to watch these on the creators' sites as well. But Watchtower Help Admin puts this stuff up to help us waking up, all of us. So even other creators out there, send Frank an email, and I'm sure he'll say go ahead and use his stuff, because he wants it to get out to everyone, and as well as like Avoid JW, all of these sites. Where's the other one I use? I use Be Free 2023. There's a good site to look at, Be Free 2023, and that's what we want to be focusing on here coming up. Now, just I know Be Free reached out to my good wife by email, and they want to stay anonymous, and but they need support from us creators, because remember, there's a lot of people that can't be known, and because of their situation. A lot of people, their livelihoods depend upon it, and that's why we have to bring an end to the shunning, and that will happen as long as we all keep working together to promote these protests and these petitions. Just like Norway, it took a lot of work to get that country to that level. So if we can help our countries, and the more the governments see that there's a petition, a protest in front of them, they kind of have to deal with it. That's human rights. We live in these countries. And Watchtower put themselves in a country that can shut them down overnight if they're not careful. And I think they're not being careful. Their lawyers are lying in courts. In Canada, in the US, Brumley lied in the US, and we brought that out. This all has to stop. So that's what Be Free's about. Now, if you're another creator out there and you're watching this, Be Free, and I don't want to speak to them, send them an email, but I'm sure they want you to advertise their site. And if we're all advertising this site, all of us creators here in North America at least, we're going to get people coming to this protest. And we want a lot of people at this protest, because that's where we're going to make a difference. We end the religious organizations, their harmful policies, and that they silence the childhood victims of sexual abuse through the cruelty of shunning. And I thought Watchtower Help Club did a really good job, Watchtower Helper, in this video that we just watched.
Bandico has a full
We're not going to watch it again here. I'll just go to his main site here. But the Watchtower Helper, he had all of those points in that video. It was like going to an assembly. And all of the things that we're talking about at Be Free, it's there, it's cartooned. The work that's gone into the EXJW community is just phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. So let us do our part and see if we can get into help Be Free and help make that happen. And now is the time to start planning for these events. Okay, so I have another part on my program. I just want to go back to the live and say hi to everyone. So I have you on the live here. I'll just give you a small screen. You can kind of see yourself as I scroll up. So it says, please check. Yeah, so I'm looking for blue marks, but I'm just kind of going down. There's a blue arrow to go down here. Okay, GG4. Hi, Gilbert. How are you doing? What happened to Warwick? Pimo. Well, it was on Reddit, Gilbert, that he pulled his channel down. I know I was watching Jake at Alt Worldy, and my wife and I were enjoying the program, and I thought, wow. And so Jake had actually put the link to it, and I went to the site, and I was halfway through the video. I wanted to see the beginning of the video. And then I went back to Jake's site, and then the video was pulled. They pulled the video, and Jake's sitting there, the video's pulled. And he had a lot of people online. We got part of it. You can see part of the video on Jake at Alt Worldy. And I don't know why he pulled it. I went on and sent him a message, because there's no way of emailing him. Although he did say that he has his emails full of messages. But I went on to his about site. I've never seen an email. Like, this is a complete, someone that is invisible, you know, like we really don't know who this person is. It makes us wonder, you know, in a lot of ways. I don't know. I don't want to say anything negative or positive. I want to stay neutral on this one. Because I don't want to discourage a creator that's waking up in Bethel. I know that must be tough if they make absolutely zero money. It looks like they make no money. And this guy's, I think he's panicking. That's what I think. I think he's a PMO panicking, waking up. I think we just got to be there and give him some support. I think if he has stuff, he should just go to the police. That's what I think. Just go right to the police, get some help. I think we just got to take the Watchtower to the police. Go straight to the police. Don't pass go. We gotta. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, and that everyone has to do their own thing. And I think that's why there's no rules here. We are all inspired to do what we think is right. You know, all of us have a little different way of doing things, and there's no wrong way about how to bring the Watchtower to justice. It's just happening. But what we do know is that we need a community. We need a place that we can all get together and talk about things. And you know, we ran that evil. What was it about? Evil, something evil. Yeah, it was about shunning. And that's brand new. That was out. That's in New Zealand, and there's all these testimonials. And then we had a whole pile of people leave testimonials on the site from that. It was quite interesting. Some of the stuff that came up from some of the comments. We've had comments that were quite opposite. You know, some were one guy was really upset. He says to me, and it's not Anthony Morit's house, he lives in it. He doesn't own it. Get your facts straight, and it's a duplex. So I like to comment back to some of these these Jehovah's Witnesses, right? And they come on our sites and they leave all this. They're not supposed to be on our sites, but they are. So here he says, he goes on, that wasn't good enough. He was watching JW Org is going broke. Even though Charity Canada and all these places say that they have so much money, it's all going to New York headquarters. And you get a business that's so large, it costs so much money to run that business day to day. And if people are leaving and the donations, and they're not telling the truth, we know, people, those of you out there, you know how many people were at the assembly in 2018 and that are at the assembly this year. So you'll see how many fell away during the virus and during these last few years. And once all those people fall away, well, there's a lot of contributors that fall away. And that's why they have to raise a monthly amount. And they have to make up for it. So they have to pay a lot of lawyers. If you could imagine tens upon tens of thousands of CSA cases happening right now in the world, they have to have lawyers on all of them. And that money has to come from somewhere. And it can sink an organization overnight. 2 Catholic dioceses went bankrupt in the U.S. just over the last few years. The diocese. They will start going after the gold at the Vatican if they have to. Like, these cases are going to be paid out. In California, with a Mormon case, they awarded $1.2 billion. They're never going to get it, but the Mormon Church funneled out $1 million right off the bat to stay out of court. But the victims were awarded $1.2 billion because there are probably some rich Mormons they could sue. But anyways, that's what's happening. And these are set in case laws for Jehovah's Witnesses. And it's just starting to happen. So this guy says half the information is a bunch of lies and crap. And anyone who buys into believing you is just as much a moron as you are. No wonder you're no longer a Jehovah's Witness. You became something God hates, a liar. If I'm encouraged to give $10 a month to help my brothers and sisters all around the world, then I'm more than willing and more. Do you know how many witnesses are having their homes rebuilt all around the world by the organization because of natural disaster or war-torn countries? You see, that's what we were all told. We're all told that. And I guarantee you this guy was just told that, but he's never witnessed it. I've had so many comments coming in and saying, we just got out of this hurricane. We tried to get a hold of elders. We couldn't. They wouldn't call us back. And there's all kinds of horror stories. So this is what we were told. We were told that the organization does this, but they don't. And he goes on to say, or feeding those who are in need in the organization. They don't feed those that are in need. I witnessed that in my life. They don't do that. And he goes on to say, you're an idiot if you're going to bring up some stupid points on how the organization is encouraging baptized persons to help our brothers and sisters around the world. I don't know what he means by that. But every other church pressures their members to give 10% or more. And the children and others who are not baptized are not accounted for when they're encouraged to give. So quit your dumb lies, and the organization is not going broke. No, it's publishers. If your 12-year-old kid's a publisher, it's $10 a month. It says to all publishers. So he's not getting it, this guy. He's just really upset. Now he says, and getting ready to watch God destroy the liars and the fools who reject the message of love. So that's what he says. He's pronouncing God's pronunciation upon me. So I thought Jesus judged me, but this guy can judge me, I guess. He's Jehovah's Witness still. Now it says, over 40 years ago, the publishers were encouraged to purchase the magazines to cover the cost. Duh, he says. That could be recovered at the door when handing out literature. So what? That was over 40 years ago. You said Jehovah's Witnesses tithe. That's a lie. I didn't say they tithe. I showed the article on tithing, and I said they don't tithe. But yet, they have a membership fee. It's right on my thumbnail. And what do you want to call it? $10, $10.75 a month. It's kind of like a membership fee, the way I look at it. Now, encouraging publishers, he says, to give $10 a month, so what? It's not a tithe. So don't say they do. It has nothing to do with the legal fees lies that you spoke of. The organization builds 7 congregations a day. Yeah, they build 7 new halls a day, but they've sold probably 27. And they sold the high-value land downtown, and then they put these halls on the outskirts, and they use you guys as slave labor. You don't think I was involved in the RBC putting frickin' thousands upon thousands of dollars of my time and money and donated fire alarm shit into those kingdom halls? Fuck. Don't tell me you snotty-nosed little kid. Like, that's how I feel. I get shit like this. I have to deal with this shit, and it bothers me. So anyways, he goes on to say, and I have to read this stuff, because what if someone needs help? What if someone's crying out for help and we have to help them? So I have to go through all this stuff. At least I feel like I have to. I'm on this channel. So if you guys want to go through some of this, we'll assign you as a moderator, and you can go through and weed some of this stuff out. But I don't think we should let these guys get away with speaking like this on any of our channels, because this young man hasn't seen anything in his life. And I guarantee you, and I went onto his channel, he's not that young. He's about 40, but you can't get a hold of no one. You can't send them an email. They're anonymous. Everyone's anonymous. No one will put their face out there. No one will go face to face with you on something. They all run and hide behind nothing. And they spat out these comments. I emailed him back. He won't comment, guaranteed, right on the comment. Now, he says it has anyone who feels like they're forced or guilt-ridden into helping our loved ones don't deserve to be in the organization. Well, it's an opinion. Thank God you're gone. Well, yeah. Is that how Jehovah feels? Is that how God feels? Again, he's putting himself in a precarious position. This is a JW position, judging everyone around you. I was there. I wasn't this blatant. I wasn't like this guy. This guy is, we know who he is. He says, keep spreading the garbage you don't know your butt from the hole in the ground. And keep doing the devil's work. He loves you for doing so. And we flip that. All of our videos, we show that the governing body is idols. And I talked to this guy about that. And he goes on to say, there's so much other lies and garbage in this video. I hope if people have 22 minutes of their lives to waste on watching this crap, that they can discern your misleading lies and such. So my comment to him is, thank you, Terry Brewer, 1135, for your heartfelt reply. Your reply should serve as an example for everyone to see how Jehovah's Witnesses reply. Those who are completely indoctrinated, how they talk when they have to face a few truths about their organization. I at one time spoke similar until I found out that a pedophile was the elder in my hall. And this organization's cover-ups of pedophiles, that is a crime. It is criminal. This organization shreds records to hide CSA. This we all know. It shuns those that have a few questions about why everyone should bow down to 9 men, like the Mormons. Those that do not bow down are thrown into a fiery furnace of shunning for life. The Watchtower splits up families, but the Bible says honor parents. Take care, my friend. My hope is that you wake up before Babylon falls. And it sounds as though you're in knee deep. Jehovah's Witness religion today is the same as the Catholic Church for pedophilia cover-ups. And I'm so glad I'm no part of her, and I got out of her. And that's how I feel. I am so happy I am out of religion, period. I am so sick of religion after a year into this channel. I am so sick of hearing about Mormons, religions, and Catholics and all the pedophilia cover-ups and the disgusting things. And it all actually appears real to me that this is all part of Babylon the Great. It just appears real at this point. But here's what I think. I think that Babylon, if you want to call it that, if you believe in that, and we can use the Bible against itself. That's the thing with the Bible. You know, it says if you're castrated or if you lost your penis in Deuteronomy, you can't go to an assembly. That's what it says. The Bible can be used in so many different ways. So it's, it's really something that we have to take with a grain of salt and be careful how we use it. I think we have to use it in the right way. We have to be loving about it. Now, and I understand a lot of the Jehovah's Witness out there watching this channel, waking up. It's hard. And it hurts when people like us get on these channels and talk the way we do. But we have to. We have to, or who are we? You know, what did I spend my life? I thought I was doing good, and I think I did a lot of good introducing the Bible to a lot of people in my lifetime. And I think now it's time to go back, and it's my penance right now for all the stuff I did. I could have been using my time to help the poor, help the needy. You know, maybe running a food bank or something. You know, even some of our rock singers, like my wife knows the guy. What's his name? But he started up a food kitchen. He's in the U.S. He's a big rock singer. He used to be in my day. And he had some good songs. My wife will tell you his name on the line. But anyways, I think there's things we could have done because we like helping people all our lives. But we were in the lie. And we were helping the lie, the Watchtower, to grow. That's what we were doing. And for a lot of us, we spent our lives, we donated everything we have. I gave everything I had to the Watchtower. If I had an extra, I had a lady that worked for me. She was a sister. They didn't have no money, but they wanted to be missionaries. Every year, I flew her back and forth to Bolivia or some country. Her and her husband. And then when the Watchtower her husband got sick, and they were in special pioneering work is what they were doing. Special pioneering, and they were good at it. And she'd come and work for me in the summer, and she'd make enough money, and they'd live all winter. And she was really good at her accounting work. And her husband got sick. They had to quit, and the Watchtower threw them out. They had nothing, no retirement fee, no nothing. And we helped them through the company as much as we could, and they were relocated to where they had to go live with their mother. It's sad. People spend their whole life serving the Watchtower, and they get out with nothing. They get a kick in the ass out because they're crippled or disabled. And I've seen it. So I have no problems fighting the Watchtower tooth and nail. And if I got to go to the Supreme Court in Canada, I will. And I think if it's the will of the higher authority, and the higher authority right now on earth is the governments. We're in these lands where there's human rights. The Watchtower likes to appeal to the United Nations. Well, the United Nations is interested in human rights. They're all interested in human rights. As much as the Watchtower wants to sit on both sides of the fence, when it comes push to shove, they will crumble, and they're getting sued left and right now. Their lawyers are getting sued for lying. So it's all happening, folks. I think we're living in this time that we have this collective consciousness. And we have to, a collective consciousness, when I talk about that, it's, there's an article I'm looking at here, it's from Thought Seal, and it says collective consciousness is sometimes a collective conscious or conscious, is a fundamental sociological concept that refers to the set of shared beliefs or ideas and that we have. And that's really what we are doing here on a lot of these channels, is we talk about things, we talk about ideas and behaviors. And it goes on to say, founding the sociologists developed the concept to explain how unique individuals are bound together into a collective units, like social groups and societies. So that's kind of, and it goes on to talk about religion is like that. Religions form social groups in society, and they have their own collective consciousness within each group, each religious group. The Jehovah's Witnesses, the Mormons, the Catholics. Catholics not so much. Like, you know, I've met a lot of Catholics in my day, and you wouldn't know, they're not religious. Most of them aren't religious. And if you've been to the Catholic Church, they kind of go off on their own thing, and half the people don't listen to it, and it's more of a social thing, or you show up for the Christmas concert and see the thing, you know, whatever. You learn more online. I learned more about the Catholic Church online. My wife and I went through a little bit of a thing, and they really talk about Jesus a lot more than a Jehovah's Witness, I'll tell you that. So it talks about collective consciousness. You know, when we think of where is it here? He would rely on the concepts. Okay, in this text, he explains the phenomena is a totality of beliefs and sentiments common to the average members of society. And he looked at this guy, right, he looks at the primitive societies, religious symbols, discourses, beliefs, rituals fostered in collective consciousness. And in such cases where social groups were quite homogeneous, not distinct by race or class, for example. And that's the way it's supposed to be in the Jehovah's Witness, but it's definitely not. It's mostly a white leadership in that group. But if you can get groups where it doesn't matter where you live, what color your skin is, what language you speak to. Because with those groups, we see inside each other. And that's what's nice about these chat groups. We don't see people. We see who they are. We see who they are inside. And they're supporting this EXJW movement. And so we become a small collective consciousness, in a sense. He goes on to talk about, he says, in cases such as these religions, they still played an important role in producing collective consciousness among peoples and groups with various religions. But the other social institutions and structures would also work to produce a collective consciousness necessary for this more complex form of solidarity. And rituals outside of religion would play important roles in reaffirming this. And that's what we see happening today outside of religion. We see that there's a collective consciousness or a collective understanding when it comes to how we treat children, and this is all over the earth. This is not something that is new. This is happening all over the earth. It's collective consciousness. We don't beat children. The children are our next generation. So when it comes to the children, the whole earth has taken a stand, and this is why Jehovah's Witnesses are going to lose this battle. They're not going to win it because of the collective consciousness that's out there regarding the children. Hiding pedophilia is really bad. In the world really looks down on this, and then saying, "Well, we're never going to change." You see, we could have been part of an organization, or maybe this organization was like that for thousands of years, but it can change. Organizations can change. Now, for them to change, the first thing they have to do, and Matt Haverstick said this, he's the Catholic diocese lawyer, and he's now the Jehovah's Witness lawyer for Pennsylvania, and he said that the religions have to apologize. They have to apologize. So that's what he said, and we showed that in one of our shows, his words. And so now the Pope came up from Italy and apologized and made some changes, and didn't make some changes Then the people protested in another country, and then he had to make the changes. You see, the people will stand up for what's right. Be Free 2023 is what we want to support this year. We want to make sure that there's a lot of us down there, that there's so many of us down there. They're only allowed 1,000 in front of the White House. But if there's 5,000 of us, the organizers down there will rotate us. They'll have us, and then you won't be out in the sun for 3 hours or all day, 7 hours. You'll go out for a few hours and do your turn. But wouldn't it be nice to have 5,000, 10,000 people down there? I think it can happen. I think there's enough of us. And this is how we produce a collective consciousness. And we support the collective consciousness that's out there that Michelle Henry is doing. She's the district attorney in Pennsylvania. We support her endeavors. And isn't that what the Bible says in Romans 13:1, to support the governing authorities when it comes to good? Yeah. And it says if we go against that, we are going to be in trouble. That's what it says. We're actually going against God. And that's what I see happening here with the Jehovah's Witnesses using theocratic warfare strategy, which allows them to lie in court and elsewhere when we know that the 7 most detestable things to God Jehovah, if we want to call God Jehovah, is lying. It's one of the most detestable things. Lying. You see, when you go to a Supreme Court, they expect you as a lawyer to be telling the truth. And if you're stretching it and not telling the whole truth just to deceive, you will be exposed, Canadain. And Canadain is being exposed. So we don't think the district attorney will see these things, and we know that. So the collective consciousness, most important to understand is that the collective consciousness is a result of social forces that are external to the individual, that are external to you and I, right? And that course through society that work together to create the social phenomena of a shared set of beliefs, values, and ideas that compose it. So we as individuals, we internalize and make the collective consciousness a reality by doing so, and we reaffirm and reproduce it by living in ways that reflect it. So let's, my petition to everyone listening to this program is see if you can support us on our petition here in Canada, and for the US, see if you can support the Be Free 2023. And if we work together, we will accomplish what we need to accomplish. But I know what will happen because it is part, what we're asking for is part of the collective consciousness of the main of the mainframe of society. So I know this will happen. The Watchtower, as long as they take a stand that we're not going to change about shunning, about the blood doctrine, and about CSA cover-up, and those are the 3 big ones. If they're not going to change, they will fall as an organization because they're outside of collective consciousness. And the collective consciousness will not allow that. And that's where it's silently happening, I think. You know, the birds are singing outside, the sun is out in many places, but Catholic dioceses are going bankrupt, and we didn't know it. So Babylon is falling. That hasn't happened before. This is a first in history. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and support our efforts. We appreciate that. And most of all, we need to get some help legally here. I think we need some help on this petition. We need someone skilled. You know, we have no schooling in this. We're just ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you know anybody out there, please do what you can to help us. And then all of our efforts are made worthwhile. You know, maybe in Canada we can stop this religion from being a charity, and it slowly starts to happen. It'll start to happen in Pennsylvania, in Montana, in California. It'll start to all happen all over the world. The Netherlands is a big one right now. New Zealand is going really hard right now, and that's that latest article. So they're exposing everything. Okay, folks, well, that brings an end to our program today, and we are going to close the program with this outro here. I think I got everything shut off. Okay, folks. Well, I should, one other thing. I just want to look online, and I don't want to forget about you guys and say bye. Okay, well, Mimi, there you go. Flames of Jaws online. Thanks for being there. Marmy. You guys are just really good people. You've always been here. I don't know. I can't put faces to any of these names, but I put little thumbnails to them, and I can imagine who you guys are. We learn about people through the chat line. We see how wonderful you guys are. You guys have good hearts, like really good people. And that's what I like about this channel is people can talk and people can be themselves. They can explain some of the difficulties they're having. Thanks, Hopcross, for the donation. Really appreciate that. And I think there was a donate. Someone went on PayPal and made a donation. I don't know who, but appreciate that, And we appreciate all the help. Now, what we really do, again, we're not soliciting to funds. I don't want to get this wrong. But the help we need here is to get our petition. We need 1,000 signatures. We got to get this petition to Parliament. So we have to find the right MLA. And that's what my wife is finding. If you get it to the wrong MLA, they're not going to put it before the government. You got to get the right one that wants to work with this. And these are things that we're going to need some help on. And then it's timing. And if you get it in Parliament before it starts up here, then it can get in and get raised. But if you get it halfway due and they have a recess, and then it gets squashed. So you have to have the right person on this. This is where we need some help. We don't want to do all this work for nothing. And we certainly want, and that's how we protest in Canada, I guess. We can't, I guess we could maybe go down there, but we use these petitions. That's how they do it, from what I know. If you have any other ideas, let us know. But we'll keep working together at this, and I'm sure we will come out victorious. I'm positive we'll come out victorious, because that's just how it works. And I think the collective consciousness out there is with us. So my good wife says, yes, they did donate, Gilbert, Joanna, and Hopscraft. So thank you very much, all of you guys. We really appreciate your support. So until next time, keep living your day with love. Bye for now.
I wanna take you around the world so I can show you that you're perfect. Take you to my old hood where I hit my first lick. Take you around places that I used to go and stomp the ground. Hey now, I wanna take you to my mama's house and show you what she's cooking. Take you to my daddy's house and show you what he's smoking. Take you to my siblings too and show you all the things we do for you, yeah. Now come and ride, baby. Come and take a ride. Tell me that you're gonna ride. Come and ride with me, hey. Now take a ride, baby. Come and take a ride, baby. Come and take a ride. Come and take a ride with me, hey. I wanna take you down 85 Dracos in the backseat, watching how we bust and have them running like a track meet. Take you down 20 Roddy racing in the 70 lane, hey. I wanna take you uptown where places you ain't never been. Take you downtown, cause you know I like to get it in. Paint the town red, me and you doing what we do. It's true. Now come and take a ride, baby, ride. Come and take a ride with me. Now can you ride, baby? Come and take a ride. Come and take a ride, baby. Take a ride. through your neighborhoods with my peeps. Ride, ride.